we're at the start of a new school year, and I thought I'd write you a little letter. And if you like, while you read it, I'll read it out to you, because it's definitely from me to you. So, dear teachers, how are you feeling today? Are you nervous about starting this new year? What do you think might be different this school year? In your individual case, what goals do you have? Ben was talking about having goals yesterday, if you watched that session and listened to it. And he mentioned having both long-term and short-term goals. So what goals have you got this year? And hopefully there's lots of excitement. So what are you looking forward to? Is there anything that worries you about this coming year? And here's my reply about today's webinar and generally. So right now I'm feeling a tiny bit nervous because I haven't given a webinar for a couple of months now. So a tiny bit nervous, but very excited to be back with Ukrainian teachers, because I always find the buzz and the vibes that you give off are so inspiring. I have a few butterflies in my stomach. And this year, my goals, I plan to post more frequently on my webpage, because sometimes I post often and sometimes there are weeks where I find I don't have time, but my plan is to post regularly. I have a list of apps and web tools that I would like to try out and use. And that's also on my to-do list. I've got some very exciting projects lined up. I have a couple more with Linguist that I know about, that I'm very excited about. I've got a webinar in a couple of weeks for Cambridge Assessment and Cambridge University Press Worldwide, and other webinars too. And of course, probably like you, I'm hoping to be able to travel. And I'm hoping to be in the same room physically as teachers like yourselves, and sharing that buzz and those tips and those experiences, both in the same room and then in the corridor over a cup of coffee. Obviously, we're not out of the woods yet. We still have challenges ahead, and COVID is still around, and we haven't conquered it yet, okay, but hopefully we will. And from what I've seen, I know that we're all going to continue to manage, to cope, and our students will too. And hopefully we can inspire them to keep on learning English and to really see how useful English can be for them. So, and Tanya, I don't know whether you can share this. I've put a copy of it in the materials box there. So I've written you that first letter again, and I would be delighted if any of you would like to write back to me and tell me your answers. So how you're feeling, what your goals are, what you're looking forward to, and perhaps something that might worry you. And maybe I can help, but I will certainly try. Okay, so I started this webinar in the way that I very often start a new school year or a new teacher training course when I'm doing it. So sometimes we already know the students that we've got in our classrooms, but sometimes we're getting new groups. Perhaps we know them all, but they've had a holiday, they're coming back after the summer break. So how are they feeling? How do they feel when they came into your classroom today? I think finding out these things from students is very important. It gives us a chance to find out how they're feeling, what they're worried about, and it gives us an example of their writing. Obviously, ideally, they would write this in English, but if they can't write it in English, then of course they can write it in Ukrainian. And we've got something from each student that we can think about, and they can think about, and perhaps something that we can revisit a few weeks on, or perhaps at the end of the year, look back and see, have you achieved those short-term, long-term goals. Okay, but very related to what Ben was saying yesterday about having goals and planning. So we're at the start of a new year. Where are we going? So we're going to think about getting started with a course book. And in this case, we're going to think about how to get started with Quick Minds 4. So I've created with Linguist this Quick Minds 4 quiz, because one of the things I like to do when I give out course books and materials to students is I don't just give it to them, the cover stays closed until we start on the first page that we're going to start with. I think it's really useful and inspiring to look through a course book and get a feel of what's in it, how is it organized, what's at the front, what's at the back, which, do you like the illustrations, do you like the photos, those kind of things. So I created this quiz, okay, for students to fill in. Yes, so they would look through Quick Minds 4 and find, they can either count pages, okay, but much quicker is to look at the page number and find out how many pages there are, how many songs are there, and that will give them a feel of, you know, on page 3 of every unit, there's a song. Okay, so how many songs are there? Oh, they're always on page 3, okay? They're finding out about the book. How many quizzes are there? And then I also really like to work on pictures. So can you find 4 chairs, 3 armchairs, 3 animals that can fly in the book, 5 big things, 2 quiet places, 5 pictures with waters. Okay, so again, looking through, getting a feel for this whole course book. And I've completed question 3 here. Okay, I've actually completed it completely. So this would have been me. When I completed it, I would put the page numbers in, and I would put, I wouldn't put the color, and I wouldn't write what I'd found on those pages. Okay. So I write the page numbers, and then I give my my page numbers to another group or another student. And that student or group looks at those pages, finds out, looks at the pictures, and I put you some there, looks at them and says, oh, there's a lot of blue in these pictures and these things on those pages that Anne has chosen. So what's my color? So my group who is finding out about me writes blue in the circle. Okay, so again, looking at the book in general, getting a feel for the whole book, and hopefully starting to like the book, okay, which I think is very, very important. Okay, a page I like, okay, so get your students to look through the course book that they're going to be using. It could be any level, okay, this is for Quick Minds, but it could be for any book that you're using, any materials that you're using. It could be on a website, okay, find a page or find a picture on a website that you like if you're going to be getting them to use a website regularly. So I chose this page, page 87, which is a game, Compare the Animals game. And I chose it because I like the colors. There's not particularly very much blue on this page, but I do like those colors. They're very warm colors. There are some animals on it, and I also like some of the animals. And I particularly like the pictures because they're quite cartoon-like, and they're also showing quite funny situations in order to show and compare size adjectives, okay, quick and slow, and big and little, okay. But I liked the style of the pictures. You could even ask them to find a page they don't like very much, and they can talk about why they don't like it. Perhaps they don't like the colors, or not the style of every picture or illustration doesn't appeal to everybody. Okay, there's no right or wrong answers. I like this because I don't like this very much. I'm not keen on this page so much because. Okay, so I think sharing your plans and setting your shared goals, which is something that Ben Knight mentioned yesterday, I think is extremely important. And again, use the contents page of your course book to show students what they're going to be studying. There are 9 units. We can see the topics from the titles of the units. We can see that the grammar's at the back. We can see we've got some pages on festivals. Okay, so we're giving students this overview of where we're going and what we're going to be doing. Okay, I then chose a unit from Quick Minds 4, and I've chosen Unit 1 for a couple of reasons. One is I wrote it, I helped to adapt it for the new version for Ukraine. And secondly, because obviously it's one of the first units you're going to be teaching. So I thought it'd be useful to share these ideas for Unit 1. Okay, so at the start of the unit, we get the title, Come to My House, and we also get highlighted, I will learn to. Okay, so you as a teacher, what I would do and what I'd encourage you to do is to think about, well, which words will my learners already know in order to name furniture? So which words do you think your students would already know when they come to starting Quick Minds 4? Would you like to type any of the words you think they'll know into the chat box? So Natalia, sofa. I think my students would know that too. I'm sorry, I can't read Ukrainian, so I can't read out your name. Bed, table, chair, bed, bookcase, table, desk and chair, yeah. Okay, that's interesting, Natalia. You think they'd know fridge? Wardrobe's quite an interesting, wasn't it? Cupboard, yeah, you think they would know? Bookcase? Oh, divan, okay, wow, your students know a lot of furniture vocabulary and home vocabulary there. Mirror, yes, is a good one. TV, yes, I think even Quick Minds 1 would probably know TV because it's such an international word. Okay, excellent. So we've stopped and we've had a think. And again, with students, I'd get them, I maybe show this on the board, on a screen, or just write furniture words on the board and just say, which words do you know? Okay, have a brainstorm, get them to try and cover the board or cover a piece of paper, or come up with 20 words that they know already to name furniture. And then the second area, which is more related to grammar and then to CLIL, talking about habits. Okay, so again, before we come to do that, we could say, ask students, how do you talk about, things that you do every day? Okay, and you're always saying present simple. Okay, yeah. I don't think my Spanish first language speakers would come up with present simple, but yeah. And what do we add to the present simple when we're talking about habits? What kind of words? Can you think of any words that we add to sentences? Yeah? Yes, okay, so adverbs of frequency. And which adverbs of frequency do your students already know? Usually, yes. Every, okay, we can say, yeah, every morning, every day. Always, often, usually, okay. Yeah, okay, so we've stopped and we've thought, and we know what we know. I know this, and then we can look at what we're getting in this unit. So we can look ahead through the unit, okay, and we'll see that the units always follow the same kind of structure. So the first page, we're getting words for furniture, for the home. Second and fourth page, we're getting grammar. And on page 3, as I mentioned earlier, we're getting the song. There's also a story running through Quick Minds 4, and there's always a pronunciation focus as well. Okay, so this is our page 1 where we get the vocabulary, and the format, the structure that this follows is that students have the pictures, they look at the pictures, they listen to the words, and then they can say the words after the recording. They've also got the words written on the page. Okay, this is fine, but I just thought I'd show you maybe a few ideas that we could build up steps to do this. And again, thinking about what students already know. Okay, so in my case, I would probably get them to cover the words and look at the pictures and think, again, which words do you know? Okay, so some of you were saying that you think your students would know 4, fridge. Okay, so great. Student could put up a hand and say, number 4, fridge. Okay, they might, and there's nothing wrong with this, they might say picture 6, bed. That's correct, there's a bed in picture 6. Picture 5, sofa. Great, we're working from words that we know, and we're interested in that. We're interested in them practicing those words, because also perhaps in our brains we keep these words together. So if we find the old words that were already inside, then maybe we can add the new words in the same place, and we can find them better when we need to. Okay. And so we've got our students volunteering. Number 4, a fridge. So they then listen and compare, and wow, yes, you were right. Number 4 is a fridge. And again, we've now listened to the 8 words. So which words were new? Okay, so perhaps for number 5, I said number 5, sofa. But we didn't hear sofa, we heard cushions. So, no problem, okay. I said the word for the yellow sofa, but I heard the word for the things on the sofa, cushions. Then they can uncover the words, and then they can listen, read, and say. Okay, very confidence building for perhaps your weaker students, less confident students. Then they can cover the words again, say them without being able to read them. Very important, in fact, for English because of the pronunciation. And then we could get them to close their books and write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and write the words next to the numbers. Right, so we've taught the words, we've checked which ones they already knew, so we've probably got some new words. So very important now is to get them to use the words. So we could use the words by getting them to say, for example, where things are in the picture. So can you type into the chat box a sentence about picture 5, which is cushions, and use one of the prepositions on the slide? Okay, yes, so you would use on. And can you give me a sentence with the cushions and using on? Okay, yeah, Victoria, there are cushions on the sofa. Or the cushions are on the sofa. There are pillows on the sofa. Okay, I think they're cushions. For me, the pillows are in picture 6 because pillows I'd use in my bed. Sometimes I might take a pillow to the sofa if I want to have a siesta. Okay, yeah, there are 2 cushions on the sofa. Excellent. Okay, and you could further extend this, this by taking, for example, there are cushions on the sofa. There are 2 cushions on the sofa. Can you add more? There are 2 cushions on the yellow sofa. Okay, so you could get the students to extend the original sentences. Okay, so we're using the words, we're giving them further practice. And the red cushion is next to the navy blue cushion. Excellent. Okay, one of the cushions has stripes. Okay, and then thinking about the words, I think this is very important when we're teaching words and revising words. Which of the words do you think your students would find difficult to say? And which would they find difficult to spell? So think about those 8 words for the pictures. Which would be difficult to say, to pronounce, and which would be difficult to spell, to write? So Alicia, you're saying cushion. Veronica, I think my students would definitely have problems with cupboard. Yes, and I agree. Fridge would, cupboard, okay, to say, okay. Fridge, cupboard to spell, okay, I agree. Cupboard is difficult all around, isn't it? It's a difficult word to say. Yes, cup, a lot of my students would say cupboard. And difficult to spell because there are words that, there are letters that you don't hear, or letters that sort of change when they get put together, isn't it? Do your students have problems with bookcase? Because my students do. A lot of my students forget the double O, or perhaps they put a C in front of the K in book, or they put 2 Ks instead of case, yeah, so we get book case with 2 Ks. Cushion, okay, definitely. I think would definitely be, again, a problem. I don't know about you, my students probably would write it with an A perhaps instead of a U. Okay, so we know you're aware of your students' potential problems. Make them aware of the potential problems, okay? And oh, I have to slow down when I'm writing this. I maybe need to practice saying cupboard a lot. Cupboard, 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 cupboard. Yeah? Lots of fun drilling that we could do. Yeah, we could cupboard, 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 cupboard. We can say different volumes. Okay. Okay, so in Quick Minds at the bottom of the page, we already have personalization usually. Okay, so we get them to use it. Is there a bookcase in your house? Yes, there's a bookcase in my bedroom. Or no, there isn't a bookcase in my, yeah, a song with 1 word in the chat box. That suggestion I really like as well. Yeah, cupboard, 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 cupboard. Okay, personalizing it more. Okay, use your WH question words. Yeah, so where is the blanket in these pictures? How many pillows are there? What color are the cushions? Okay, where is the blanket in your house? How many pillows are there on your bed? What color are the cushions on your sofa? Okay, so personalizing it again to make it more relevant and also to give them more practice. Okay, another thing that I've added here is to write definitions. Okay, in the second session today, I'm going to be talking about the A1 Movers test, and part of the reading and writing, they get definitions of words that they have to match to a picture and to words. So you can take the format of those sentences, and you could even choose one particular form of sentence if you want to practice it, and get them to write definitions for the words, perhaps in a notebook, or perhaps you've got somewhere digitally on a computer or a tablet where they can record the definitions. So writing those definitions, I think, is really useful language practice. As I say, we can work on a structure. We could work on our adverbs of frequencies. Yeah, so libraries always have lots of these for bookcases. Swimming pools always have lots of these for towels. Beds always have one of these, or usually have one of these. Pillows, or a pillow. Okay, Ben yesterday again mentioned revisiting language and revisiting content. So in the Teacher's Resource Book for Quick Minds 4, you will find some lovely activities to reinforce the language and to practice the language further. I really liked this one, okay, which is a kind of a word search, but they have to follow the path or complete the trail and find the words for the words that we had on that page 1 of the unit. So really nice exercise, and one that you could then use with other sets of vocabulary. Your students could create their own too. And again, there's another very nice exercise with the pictures, and they have to write the word for the pictures on the lines. So again, really nice exercise to reinforce, and something perhaps that you could come back to. And the second time they do it, you could not give them the pictures, and they have to complete it just with the words without the picture support. Okay, page 2, we usually have the vocabulary from page 1 in a context. Okay, so here we have sentences about these two people, and they get the vocabulary, the furniture vocabulary in context. And then we have the grammar highlighted, and then we have like either a game, some kind of activity to practice the grammar. Page 3, a lot of you in the chat box are saying how important you think songs are, and I totally agree. I had great fun writing this song for Quick Minds 4. So Mrs. Glee, she's always very busy. Okay, just like teachers, Mrs. Glee is very busy. Okay, so again, we've got the vocabulary and the grammar in context. We've also got in the activity book some further reinforcement, and in this case I've chosen the reinforcement of the song from the pupils book. And then on page 4 we either have extension of the grammar from page 2, or we get perhaps sometimes a new area of grammar, but usually they're related. Okay, so on page 2 we had always, often, usually, etc. And on page 4 now of the unit, we're getting the question, how often? So again, that they can use the grammar from page 2 to answer the questions with how often. Okay, and again, in the Teacher's Resource Book, we've got a really nice activity with clocks and with little texts, very attractive, and they have to complete the sentences. Okay, so I've shown you how we could start off a unit and how you could start off if you're going to use Quick Minds 4, Unit 1. Pages 6 and 6 and 7, yes, we have some CLIL in this case. So we either have social studies, or there's work on creativity, or reading and listening work. So again, I just wanted to show you how in the activity book, we have got some very nice critical thinking about how the steps to make an infographic, which we've also got in the pupils book. But then which food infographic do you like most and why? So a bit related to what I was saying earlier about looking through the course book and finding a page that you really like and why you like it. So again, you know, if they're going to perhaps in the future or even in your classes be creating infographics, creating visuals, making posters, it's interesting to reflect and think about, well, what do I like and why do I like it? What colors do I like? What layout do I like? How many pictures? Do I like a big picture? Do I like small pictures? Do I like a kind of a flow with arrows? Okay, really good, very useful real life skills, I think. Okay, and one of the things that is new to Quick Minds 4, wasn't an original edition, is this idea of I can do, which you're probably, yeah, I can do here. So I've got my little I can do hold up thing. Okay, so your students could hold this up after an activity. There's a quiz every 3 units to revise the content. And then at the back of the unit, we've got a page for each of the units. And you know, number 1, I can say and spell the words for all these things. So remember, we were talking about the difficult word cupboard to say and spell. So 1, yeah, it would be, you know, can you say and spell cupboard? Wow, well done. And the thing I really liked is this, which I've shown you before in other webinars. That sorry, I keep putting the thing for me and not you. So they can slide, yeah. So I feel very happy today. Okay, so I'm right up here. Okay, I'm right up here, I should say. Okay, I'm feeling very good about what we've been doing, and I feel I can pronounce and I can spell cupboard very, very well. Okay, so self-assessment, very important. And again, Ben was talking about that yesterday. So in this last part of the webinar, I'd like to use some of the young learners activity cards from the Cambridge Life Competencies. I thought Ben might be mentioning these yesterday. He didn't, but I know Tanya very often talks about the Cambridge Life Competencies. So I chose some of the activities from those cards, and I thought we'd talk about how we could use them with Quick Minds 4. So then similarities, okay, this is one of the critical thinking cards for young learners. So I created my own Venn, okay, I took cupboard and I took fridge. And things that I thought that they shared in the middle, they're both furniture, you could say. You both find them normally in the kitchen. Whoops. And I shouldn't have put cold in the middle because it should be with fridge. Okay. Differences. Okay. Cupboards in a kitchen, you very often find several cupboards. But in a fridge, you wouldn't normally have more than one fridge, would you, in your kitchen? Fridges are made of plastic, glass, metal, whereas cupboards are normally perhaps wooden or formica, a special material. We tend to put different things in cupboards. We do put food in cupboards, but we also put things like plates and machines that are gadgets that we've got in the kitchen, don't we? We wouldn't put gadgets in the fridge. And the fridge keeps things nice and cold. Yeah, so again, your students could compare a bookcase and a shelf, a cushion and a pillow. Okay, so again, cushion and a pillow share certain features, but they're different, perhaps because of where you put them. They could be different in size, in shape. Okay, so students can compare those. This is related to what I did earlier about finding your favorite page. It could be in the whole course book or it could be in the unit. Yeah, so which of those 8 pages of the unit did you enjoy most, or perhaps which ones did you learn most from? Taking initiative to improve one's own learning. Again, Ben mentioned this yesterday, and the idea of traffic lights. So, you know, you could have ready-made circles, or you can just have pieces of paper. And while students are doing an activity, they can just put this piece of paper on their desk. They can show, green, I'm fine, I don't need any help. Yellow, I need help with the next bit I'm going to do. And red, help, I'm stuck, I can't do this. Okay, using feedback to improve learning. Okay, so next time I will, so they've perhaps created an infographic, and there were things that next time they would make better. So, what would they change? Cupboard, okay, I'm getting there, but I'm still a bit rusty with cupboard, and I still have to think a lot about it. So maybe I'll practice cupboard, while I'm at home or on the bus or in my head. So for getting started, getting going, getting confident, when I spoke to Tanya, we're talking about the sport of orienteering, where you're given maybe a map, you have to get to a destination. Not everybody has to go on the same route, but it's very important to know where you are at the start of your route. You might have a map, you might have a compass. In our case, we've got the course book or whatever. We've got Quick Minds, for example. That is our compass. Okay, so we've got, this book. We're hoping to get to the end, and possibly we're going to work through it in complete order, or possibly we're going to do bits and come back. When we're going, let's go. Okay, so how am I doing? And then at the end, okay, wow, yeah, I've got my slide, I've got my I can do, okay, I'm feeling great. And as so many of you are mentioning songs, I would suggest, why not have with your class, okay, start of the lesson, where are we? Let's start the class, okay, where are we going? Teacher can tell them, or look at the page, where are we going? What are we going to do? Okay, let's go. Have you got your 3 pieces of colored paper ready? Okay, remember, okay, to show me how you're doing while you're doing the activity. And then at the end, we can have, yeah, brilliant. Give yourselves a high five. Yeah, give yourselves a big round of applause. Thumbs up, whatever. Okay, and you could have a theme song with your class. Choose a song, choose one of the songs from Quick Minds 4 that you like, perhaps, and you can sing it, okay, to share your happiness and share how you're feeling. Or it could be a song, that's in the charts that they're hearing on the radio. Well, the radio, they're probably not listening to the radio, on their phones, okay, perhaps, or on TV, okay. Choose a song and have a theme song for the class. Okay, so we have about 4 or 5 minutes, Tanya, for questions. So I don't know whether there were any questions that came up.
Hey, hi again. I think there will be questions. Oh, there's already one.
Tanya, you'll have to do that. 10 years old, Quick Minds, would they be 10?
Can advise using this book for my 10 years daughter this is the book for grade 4 at schools, and well, most probably students are 9, 10, 11 years old, so yeah, it's fine. But I would say that it's about the teacher who chooses the book, right?
Yeah, there was a question that's sped by, well, it's actually just at the top there, but about switching between online and offline. So I presume you're in the classroom and online, which you've had to do. I understand we've had to do it here. Actually, Spain managed to get back all year last year, but we did have some students who were in quarantine who were connecting online. So I'm not sure. Can we go back? Yes, I can go back. Switching teachers from online to offline classes. So, can you say that question, Tanya? Because I don't know the name, teacher's name. I'm sorry, I must learn to read Ukrainian, but
I was sending some materials, but there was a question in Ukrainian. Now maybe it's a kind of out of a box question, but switching teachers from online to offline classes and vice versa. How to cope with this problem? Like switching between the blending learning, I guess.
Yeah, so what the teacher means is that you've got some students at home, some in the classroom. Yeah. I mean, I've read a lot of comments over the summer of teachers who've had that experience, and I've also talked to people locally here. What they found, what teachers seem to be saying, I think generally, is that you can't do everything at once. So what teachers were doing were they were like maybe setting things for the students in the classroom to do, so that they could then interact with the online students. And then the online students, they were asking them to do things, while the in the classroom students, they were actually able to interact with them. And then obviously things like checking answers, feedback, that kind of thing you can do together. But I think a lot of teachers, another thing a lot of teachers have been saying they've been doing is recording videos. And so instead of presenting content live, online, in the classroom and online, they've actually been recording videos of the presentation. So for example, that vocabulary we saw there, you would record a video of it. And you were saying you've got some videos available, Tanya. So I don't know whether these could be, perfect for things like that. But they were presenting, sending the video, even when students were back in the classroom. Actually, a friend of mine is saying she sends it to the students in advance, and then she uses the classroom, to go through any doubts, to practice it, that kind of thing. So I think that's how people are getting around it, sort of setting tasks so that you can concentrate on one group or the other, recording videos so that you've got that, and you could actually, send the videos to the online students and even show the video in your classroom, even though you're there, so that everybody's seeing the same thing. But yeah, it's an issue to be dealt with. I think it might be an interesting one, actually, to ask Cambridge. Even Ben might be able to give us some insights. It's an interesting area, a very interesting area, I think. Yeah, it is, and there are so many unknown things to deal with in this area. We never had this before. No, exactly. And even here in Spain, as I say, they managed to get the students back all year. We never went actually, back to complete lockdown for schools. But obviously you had families who had to isolate. So you had students, and some students couldn't connect, but you also did have, one or two students potentially at home. I think we had one or two. Yeah, we did have one or two cases where a whole class was isolated. If there were more than 3 cases in a class, I think they got sent home. But only that class, not the whole school. So I think you could. And obviously the problem is sometimes in advance and sometimes you don't. Yeah. So I mean, maybe, when teachers are timetabling and planning, you could even, that could be one of your goals for this year. Start perhaps recording some videos, and then you've got them forever. Yeah.
I guess, yeah, that
could be one. It could be a subject.
You can record it. There was another question in Ukrainian, like how do we? Oh, I forgot the word in English. When you have a word and you have to break it in pieces to put it in the other line.
To hyphenate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Other rules of this, and should we teach that in the 4th grade? I don't think so. I mean, I would train students not to break up words at this level, but I would say it's a real life skill, and there are rules. Yeah. So basically you can't,
whatever you put on the next line has to start with a consonant sound. Yeah, so if you took possible, you couldn't put able on the next line.
Yeah.
Or possibility, yeah, possibility. You could say possibility, but you couldn't do possibility. Yeah. So the one you separate has to start with a consonant. So it's a rule. It's a real life skill. However, I think students have at this level have already got enough to handle, enough to deal with. So I would be tempted not to teach it. It wouldn't be on my syllabus. But if somebody like this teacher were to ask me, then I could tell them, you know, and you know, natural curiosity, deal with it, you know, feed it. Yeah. So if it comes up, yes, by all means, I wouldn't put it on the syllabus, but there are rules, and yeah. But in this level, I would always encourage them to put the whole word on the next line.
Yeah, that's something I did as well. I didn't bring this topic up in the primary on the primary level. All right, there was a question. I suppose it's a question to me. The certificates. You will receive your certificates after you fill out the feedback form. The feedback form will appear once we finish the whole webinar. There will be a green button which you will have to press to follow the link to the feedback form. Another thing, you will all receive thank you letters. There will be a link to the feedback form as well. After you fill it out, you receive your certificate automatically. That's it with the certificates. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just typing it into the chat box. There was another one. Could you share any other ideas for critical thinking development? I'd encourage you, and maybe Tanya, you could send out, I don't know how you could do it, but you know, those cards, the primary, or put them, you know.
Oh, I actually sent it via thank you letter. There will be a link to the whole Better Learning Hub. And all the brochures with life competencies and all the strategies to develop those competencies, and all of the activity cards for both secondary, primary, and adults. So teachers, dear teachers, check out not only certificates in the thank you letter, but also I've collected some really useful resources for you.
Yeah. No, because there are basically all the different competencies, and there are cards for all of them. So I just chose I chose a few from the different competencies just to show sort of a range. Yeah.
Oh, they are amazing.
They really are, and obviously there are the ones for adults as well, and for business too. So if anybody's teaching those areas as well, those ages, there are also some other things there. Yeah. But maybe for your teacher's corner, Tanya, I was just thinking the idea of, help. I've got some students at home, some students in the classroom. I think that would be an important area maybe for you to discuss in one of your teachers.
English corner, yeah. I'll think about it. But what came up to us to provide teachers with is video lessons. So record video lessons, and of course they will never substitute the real life learning altogether in a community with a teacher who facilitates the process. But still, it's better than nothing. There was another question about yesterday's certificates. I will definitely check the email box and see what's there. But the point is that you fill out the contact form, the feedback form, and you receive the certificates automatically. I don't send them out separately to each participant. You receive it automatically right after you fill out the feedback form. You will be provided with the link which will lead you to this certificate. And today the system is absolutely the same. Okay. The recording of this webinar will be available on our YouTube channel, from the Linguist Company. So you will be able to re-listen to it even today. And also you will receive recordings in the thank you letters, which will be available for a week from now. I guess there are no more questions, is there? Okay, sessions which go at 2 o'clock. You can ask them the question, because we have different platforms and different certificate sending out system. They're going via Zoom, and they will be sending out the certificates after the whole conference. So it's not a day-to-day thing, but by the end of the I guess next week you will receive all the assessment certificates.
I spoke to Onur yesterday. I had my rehearsal, and he was saying that a couple of days. So yeah.
yeah. So we will finish the last session on Friday, and most probably the certificates will be sent out on Tuesday. Yes, you put your own names in the certificates yourself. There is a box that says type in your name. Okay, I guess that's it.
Right, I shall go and get a cup of coffee, and I'll see you, some of you, I believe, in the next session on Zoom.
Yay! Have a great coffee, and see you soon.
See you soon. Take care. Bye. See you later.
Bye.